What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and I figured I'd give a shot at another one of these rundown videos. Again, I hadn't done this for a while, and I was kind of curious to see whether or not people would still be interested in this. For those of you guys who don't know, the rundown is basically where I'm just like, here's a thing that happens in a comic somewhere, and it's cool, and I like it, so I'm going to tell you guys about it. Now, we're supposed to do a video on the history of the DC Universe, like the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but the history of the DC Universe, guys, their universe is an absolute nightmare, and like I had been up since 5:30 in the morning. I'd been sitting here for 7 hours trying to get it sorted out, and so it's going to take me a long time to do. So in order to get this done the way I need it to be, I'm going to have to take like 2 weeks and sort through all of DC's nonsense, because I don't even think they know how their universe works, and I'll have to go through all the crises and all that kind of stuff, and it's going to be a great big huge pain in the butt. But while I'm doing that, I figured I would talk about something cool, and I figured what better way to bring back the rundown than to talk about how Thor fought Apocalypse. So in Marvel Comics, among certain circles of older fans who like characters that aren't relevant, there is a villain named Kang the Conqueror, and Kang the Conqueror is basically just a dick. This is a guy that just travels back and forth through time, just like being mean to people. Like he just goes back and forth through time, and he's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna be mean to the Fantastic Four because I'm Kang the Conqueror and I'm a dick, and that's what I do. So because of the fact that he bounces back and forth in time all the time, he's everywhere. Like he literally shows up everywhere in Marvel Comics, and it's absolutely insane. Now, with regards to this whole story, if you guys remember my origin on Apocalypse, my video talking about his whole thing, and I've got multiple videos explaining all that. Apocalypse is like the second mutant ever born. The first one was Selene. Those of you guys who are really old comic book fans are going to tell me that I'm wrong. You're wrong. I'm right. Selene was like the first mutant. All right, she is a mutant, kind of a mutant, whatever. She has to drain people's life force to stay alive. Who cares? Anyway, so Apocalypse shows up, and he's in Egypt, and yada, yada, yada. He falls in love with a chick named Neferi. She rejects him. He's like, blarg! His powers manifest in a fit of jealousy, and then he starts cutting a swath through society and ruling everything. All right, done and done. So anyway, during the time when Apocalypse was in Egypt, he was being tracked down by Kang the Conqueror, because Kang the Conqueror was like, I'm from the future, and if I make Apocalypse, my heir, if I can control him, I can control the future, because Apocalypse is destined to be like super powerful. Well, Apocalypse had basically overthrown Kang the Conqueror, sent him running for his life, but ever since then, Kang the Conqueror was always trying to find a way to make Apocalypse's heir and control him, which is a stupid idea because Kang the Conqueror can't do that. He's a regular guy that travels back and forth through time. But for those of you guys who never read Avengers versus X-Men, this was a story that was written as a clickbait story that Marvel sold because they knew people would buy it and they couldn't write anything else good at the time. So they wrote this story where it was like the Phoenix Force was coming back to Earth, and Cyclops of the X-Men was like, yay, the Phoenix Force is coming back. Maybe I'll get to see Jean, maybe I won't, I don't know, but it's probably going to take over like Hope Summers because she's going to be a harbinger for the Phoenix Force, or she's destined to, or something like that. And Captain America and the Avengers are like, oh my god, dude, if the Phoenix Force comes back and it takes a hold of Hope Summers, then mutants will be really powerful again, and then they could like overthrow humanity or something like that. And so what ends up happening is the Avengers and the X-Men fight one another. Captain America is like, hey Cyclops, you need to give us Hope Summers, and Cyclops is like, nope, and so they end up fighting one another for a while. Now, after Avengers versus X-Men was finished, yeah, the Phoenix Five and all that kind of stuff, which doesn't matter to our discussion here, but once Avengers versus X-Men was finished, Captain America formed the Avengers Unity Squad, and this was basically just Marvel saying, hey, our sales are slumping, nobody's buying our shit, let's just like combine the X-Men and the Avengers together and see what happens. So we got Uncanny Avengers. But this was actually a really cool concept, and it was a really cool line of comics up until it wasn't. What ended up happening is Marvel came up with this genius idea of the Apocalypse twins. They were like, hey, what if like Archangel knocked up a chick and then she gave birth to his kids? Like, he's had a huge history with Apocalypse. Let's like have those kids become Apocalypse twins. So Warren Worthington's chick gives birth to kids, Kang the Conqueror kidnaps the kids, and then brainwashes them. They become the Apocalypse twins, whatever. So within the whole Thor landscape, this whole Thor mythology, Asgard, all that kind of stuff, you've got the Hammer Mjolnir, which is like Thor's, that's Thor's main girl, all right? That's Thor's like, I'm bringing the hammer down, and then you've got Jarnbjorn. Jarnbjorn is the axe that Thor used before he ever had Mjolnir. And this is like a mystically enchanted axe that was created by the dwarves that can basically cut through anything. But the problem is Thor put it somewhere and Kang the Conqueror doesn't know where he put it. And so in order to solve this problem, Kang the Conqueror travels into the past to like 1013 AD. And he goes and finds Apocalypse, and he's like, hey, Apocalypse, dude, I know that you have like your celestial armor now, like you have your godly armor and you got your godly powers and you can shapeshift and do all the stuff that makes you really, really cool, even though you can't defeat, a group as trivial as the X-Men. Like, I know you've got all this really, really cool stuff. Like, Thor is gonna kill you. Like Thor is going to, make it so you can't rule the future, man, and you should probably do something about that. And so Apocalypse is like, oh my God, yes, like I need to rule the future and we gotta stop Thor. So he goes and he finds Thor in Scandinavia. Now, originally we didn't know that Kang the Conqueror was behind all this. Instead, Thor's just like drinking and having like an amazing, it looks like the best time ever, like what he's doing right now. Like he's having an amazing time. He's drinking alcohol and he's like singing songs and he's like, I'm Thor, and like he's just beating people up and stuff like that. Like it looks amazing. Like if I were Thor, I would do that, to be honest. Like I would do what Thor is doing right now, drinking and beating people up. But then like Apocalypse shows up and he was like, your day is done, and then he just like pummels Thor, and he's like, get out of my face, and like hits Thor, sends him flying out of a room. All right, and the two of them just basically start going at it. Now Thor's got Yarmyorn. And so he's like, man, I need to take out this guy, whoever this guy happens to be. Like he hits me from behind, and that's not okay. And so Apocalypse starts like attacking and the two of them are going at each other and like the axe is hitting Apocalypse and nothing's happening. And so Thor's like, man, dude, like I gotta do something, man. So like Thor bails. All right, Thor's just like, peace. And he gets out of there. So then he takes off back to Asgard. And so while this is happening, Apocalypse teleports back to his vessel thing and he meets up with Kang the Conqueror and he's like, hey man, look, like, what in the heck is going on here? And Kang's like, yeah, dude, trust me, man, you got to kill him, and then everything will be cool. And so we pick up in Asgard. All right. So we're in Asgard now. Thor's back here on, from the Rainbow Bridge, and he goes and he talks to Odin and he's like, hey, look, Odin, man, like there's this dude that showed up on Earth and like he kicked my ass and I need something to be able to beat this dude. And Odin's like, hey, look, Thor, I know you're my son, you're cool. I'm Anthony Hopkins. You need to chill out. All right. Like, do not let this dude get the better of you. Just let things go. Just let him be a dick. It's basically like every parent's answer to a kid that's being bullied. Like, sticks and stones may break your bones and Apocalypse will probably kill you, but you need to let it go. And so Thor's like, no, man, we need to do something about this. So Loki's like, haha, this is my chance to be an asshole. So Loki's like, hey, like you should go and look up this scroll that will enchant your axe so it can cut through celestial armor and it can like damage Apocalypse. And so Thor's like, yes, I know how to read a little bit. And so he starts talking to, starts going over this scroll and starts reading it. And then he takes it and he gets his axe enchanted. But then we actually learn that in truth, it is Kang the Conqueror disguised as Loki, who has basically tricked Thor into enchanting his axe. So while Thor is in Asgard, Apocalypse is like, okay, look, like this dude just ran off riding a carriage being pulled by some horses. He flew into the sky, whatever, man. I've seen crazier stuff before. So he's like, we got to find some way to get Thor to come back to me so that I can kill him and then not have to worry about not being able to take over the future. So Apocalypse like gathers his horsemen because he's always got a horseman. All right, he had a horseman this time and he always has horsemen forever. All right, and so he shows up, or they show up in London and the horsemen start like attacking everybody. All right, they're attacking guards on a bridge, they're attacking regular people, they're attacking Faust. All right, don't ask me why Faust is alive in 1013 AD. That's just the way it is. So they're attacking everybody. All right, and then Thor shows up and Thor's like, nope, we're not even putting up with this today. Like, I'm literally gonna kill you all. And the horsemen are like, oh my God, what's going on? This guy is just like attacking us with a magical axe and we have no clue what's going on right now, but they don't really say that because they're all too busy being dead. Now, while this is happening and all the horsemen are just getting totally obliterated by Thor, like Apocalypse is watching all this unfold. And Apocalypse is like, wait a minute, like he used that axe on me earlier and that axe did not work. Why is he killing my horsemen now? So he turns around to Kang the Conqueror and he's like, hey dude, what's going on, man? Like this is not cool, all right, that Thor is killing my horsemen right now. This is not how things are supposed to be. What in the hell is going on? And Kang's like, hey man, like that's just how it goes. And then he just pieces out, all right? So Kang the Conqueror's just like, bye, and just bails. This whole time, like Apocalypse is pissed, all right? He's just like throwing shade at Kang the Conqueror. Like he's mad as hell. All right, so Thor ends up coming back to the realm to the ship of Apocalypse, and it's just like, hey man, your time has come. Like, you hit me in the back earlier, and I'm not okay with being hit from behind, and that's really what I'm upset about the most. All right, so he starts attacking Apocalypse, and Apocalypse is like, hey man, I ain't worried about you. All right, like he Thor throws his axe, Apocalypse catches it. He's like, dude, I've got the powers of a god. All right, I can shapeshift. I can pretend to be an old man in the X-Men cartoon show. I can do all kinds of cool stuff. All right, I'm not worried about you. And Thor's like, oh yeah? And so like he hits the hammer into Apocalypse, and Apocalypse is like, what the hell just happened? All right, and so like Apocalypse is freaking out, and he was like, dude, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't understand how you kill, or how you managed to injure me. And Thor's like, hey man, Asgardian magic, dude, like I told you, you're messing with the wrong one, but you didn't want to listen. And so Thor's just like, I'll leave you to be defeated because I ain't worried about you, because now I've gotten a magical axe that can like cut your head off if I wanted to. And so he leaves, Apocalypse to do his own thing, and the ship self-destructs and the ship blows up. And so Thor's like, okay, cool. I guess I don't have to worry about that now because Apocalypse is dead. So cut to Asgard. All right. So Thor's like celebrating his whole victory. He's like, yeah, man, like I beat up this dude who was like, had like god armor and stuff like that because I'm Thor, and hey, ladies, like, Thor, like, hey, killed a god over here. I'm a beast. Let's go upstairs. But then like Odin busts in, and Odin's like, dude, what in the hell have you done? And Thor's like, huh? What's going on? And Odin's like, dude, you have no idea how bad you screwed up. Like, you literally just screwed up everything. All right, like the future is messed up because of you. Like, you've literally just doomed like people in the future at some point in time, that we don't know exactly what will happen, but a bad thing will happen because of what you've done. Come to find out, Kane the Conqueror had engineered this in order to acquire Jormungandr. All right, so like he didn't know where Thor had put it after it was all said and done, and so he finds out that Thor had put Jormungandr in some cave belonging to Baron Mordo because he had fought him at some point in time. I don't remember why, but he basically fought him and left it there. And so Kane the Conqueror is just like, all right, awesome, cool, I got Jormungandr, and then he goes off and does his own thing, which leads to a really stupid story. But nonetheless, that's basically how Thor fought Apocalypse. I liked it. I thought it was really, really cool. Let me know what you guys think, and yeah, so I will catch you guys later. Peace.